Hi, this is Seamstress. Tonight we're talking to Kim Dilla, who, in my opinion, is a Wonder Woman of all trades. She has her own stagewear company called Kylla Custom Rockwear. She toured this past winter as Vulvatron of Gwar, and if you're still not impressed, she's quite an accomplished artist and academic. So, Kim, I wanted to welcome you and thank you for taking the time out to talk to us today. How are you doing?
Thanks. I'm doing great. I'm just driving for 10 hours, so got plenty of time to chat on the phone.
Good. So we're doing it on the road, on the fly.
Yep. Hopefully reception is on our side.
So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself for the people who don't know who you are and what you do?
My name is Kim Dilla, a.k.a. Kim Kylla. Kylla's a nickname of mine, an amalgamation of my first and last name, and I run a stagewear or just clothing company called Kylla Custom Rockwear, and we specialize in making rock and metal, denim and leather gear for musicians, fans, and everyday rock stars.
Awesome. And so tell me, how did you get started in designing stagewear?
I always liked to sew my own clothes because when I was a teenager, I dressed really crazy. I was totally uber goth, and there wasn't Hot Topic or anything until a few years later, and I had a hard time finding clothes that I liked and also that I could afford. So my mom taught me to sew, and then my friends taught me to make corsets and things. And if you can pattern a corset, you can pretty much pattern anything.
Right.
I didn't have much money for materials, so I would buy salvage leather jackets and things from thrift stores and cut them up and make them into something new. And in doing that, I think created more interesting garments than just sewing something from a pattern where you have very clean lines and things like that. So that's what gave me the idea. And then my friend Joey Jordison from Slipknot would always have really cool stagewear and clothes that he would wear. His were always thousands of dollars, so I couldn't afford it. But I sort of saw how his were made because I fixed them a couple times for him. And one day he liked my jacket that I had made that I was just wearing around him better than his jacket he was wearing. So cool. He asked to borrow it and wore it on stage with Rob Zombie. And he also wore it to an awards ceremony like the Grammys or and some of that. And then I started getting phone calls from other musicians like Rob Flynn from Machine Head and the Cradle of Filth guys and stuff wanting these jackets. And at the time, I was working full-time in the academic circuit at the University of Virginia on cultural heritage applications in the computer science realm, sort of digital archaeology.
So that was your day job?
Yeah. I worked at several universities, the University of Virginia and Arkansas State University, remotely from Charlottesville. And then the orders with the clothing business started getting out of control, and I thought, well, what would happen? How many jackets would I need to make to match my faculty salary or match my health insurance costs? And there you have it. so I just jumped into it, and it's been working out.
So it became cost effective for you to quit your day job?
Yeah, I actually ended up making more money with
awesome.
than I did. And now I have a full-time business partner and employee, Lori, and so we have a two-woman endeavor with Kylla.
That's awesome.
So it's grown. It's doubled in size in the 3 or 4 years we've been doing this. And this year we're planning to expand to a manufactured, ready-to-wear line now that we've sort of made a name for ourselves.
Yeah. I think I met you about halfway through this of where you are now from where you started. You've got some pretty famous clients. Who would you say, because you mentioned Machine Head, they're huge. Who would you say are some of your most famous, craziest, or maybe your favorite clients?
Oh, this week alone, we made stuff for Arnell Pineda from Journey.
Yeah.
I'm making a new piece for Bray Wyatt from WWE, who's going to wear it in WrestleMania this weekend. So that's really exciting. Yeah, and then we did a full band wardrobe for Machine Head, Arch Enemy, Creator, lots of people. We dressed African Alexandria's wedding, Ben Bruce's wedding. So that was cool.
I remember that.
Really fun.
I saw that show up on your post because it was like a year ago, wasn't it? That's awesome.
Yeah, they're really fun guys. I love working with Machine Head too. They're great. I've known them forever, and they've always been really supportive of rocking our designs. So that's cool. Other than that, I mean, we just work with regular people too. You don't have to be in a famous band. And part of the thing I pride our company on is that we treat everyone equally regardless of their level of fame. You don't get things for free just because you're famous. You don't get priority. Like, everyone pays the same amount. Everyone can order. Everyone gets a custom size, whether you're 5XL or extra small. You just pay the same amount of money and wait in line, and you get everything, you know, because I don't want to say that, you know, it's really exciting. It is really exciting seeing your work on stage with huge bands and bands that I'm a fan of and in the ring at WrestleMania, I guess, you know, but it's also really exciting when, like, Bob's local band from Texas, like, is really stoked about the new vest he just made them. And, you know, I've played in bands for years, and before joining Gwar this year, not in a band that a lot of people knew of. And, you know, I want to treat all musicians equally. This is not a fame game with me. We're not in LA.
Right. That's awesome. That was, I think, one of the things that surprised me most when we talked is your price point. I mean, you're really affordable. And I remember you told me the story of you wanted to make sure that everybody could afford you, and that's really, I mean, the stuff that you do is amazing, and I think it's really great that you do that. You're welcome. Personally,
the idea with that was that there's a big gap in the market between, say, what you can buy at, like, Hot Topic for $60 and then buying, like, a junker jacket for, like, $1,500. You know, I know as a touring musician and having worked with touring musicians for years and people in bands, close friends of mine, I'm very aware of, like, what people make finally and, like, how much money you have and how much people are willing to spend. And very few people have, like, 4 figures to drop on one piece of clothing. Right. You know, and that leaves a big gap between people that don't want to just look like every other lip service jacket, but, you know, need something cool to wear on stage. So I'm like, okay, well, what is the amount that people would spend? Somewhere between $200 and $300, somewhere around there. Like, and especially in payments, it's quite affordable to everyone. Like, very few people, like, turn it down at that price. But then it was figuring out how to make it for that. Because if I bought leather hides and scratch patterned every single piece, like, we're not making any money by the time you discount, like, $200 of materials and then, you know, 15 hours of work. So by using salvaged leather and denim, which in my opinion looks cooler because it's been stressed, putting it through processes and starting with things that aren't very interesting fashion-wise in terms of, like, you know, button panels and pockets and flies and things that are a pain to sew, but, I mean, they're not hard to sew, but they take more time than just sewing a seam. You know, just sourcing those from pre-existing garments, it helps cut down the time it takes to make it, and it allows to turn a good profit while keeping the price point affordable to people who actually play music for a living.
Right. That's awesome. It's funny you should say that because I just went through my closet the other day and I have this huge mountain of clothes that I'm just going to cut stuff off of to use it to make other stuff because it's just, the salvage operation. When you design, like for your clothing, do people usually have some idea of what they want when they come to you, or they just say, just go with it, or what? Do you get a mix of that?
It doesn't. Generally, guys won't really know what they want. They're like, okay, I play in this kind of band, or I like this piece you did and this piece you did. Do your thing with a leather jacket that's 3/4 length, or do your thing with a denim vest and put this patch on the back. So
they just give you a little bit of specs on the end product and just let you rip, huh?
Yeah, or I just sort of say, like, send me pictures of the other things on the website that we've made that you like the best,
Right.
But then we'll get really picky clients that'll send me 10-page diatribes about each page. How about this? And then I'll we can accommodate both types. What's bad is when someone wants something very specific but doesn't know how to describe it. So they're just like, oh, just do your thing, but they actually really had something really specific in mind. That's
right.
Challenging.
So do you have a pretty long process when you're kind of interviewing the clients regarding what they're looking for?
I just say I get from them measurements, any sort of images they want for patches, images of other garments that we've made that they like. They'll be like, I like the spacing panel on the back of this one, and I like this material, but can you change it like this? I don't want to make any garment exactly like other garments we've made. I want everything to be unique, but we make some things, similar to another garment. So.
All right. Cool. Okay.
People just send me, emails when they have ideas like, oh, by the way, can you add an inside pocket, and can you make the sleeves removable? So sometimes it takes me a long time. So I try to communicate with everybody in writing because we have probably 2 months of orders going on at any point in time. By the time I actually get to starting that one, I've forgotten the discussions. So it's nice to be able to look back through all of that.
Are you still running about 6 or 8 weeks behind?
We were pretty slow in the beginning of the year because we were doing a lot of stuff with 70,000 tons and just retail in January. December was really busy, so I think everyone's sort of exhausted their money. But now it's picking back up. We're at about a month and a half backlog right now. We're both sort of through the end of April.
Right. So you had most of your clientele, you started out in the death metal world. You mentioned you're doing some WWF now, Journey, which is more mainstream. Have you gotten anybody else call you up that was really a surprise to you when they wanted to become one of your clients?
The people I'm not networked into the acting and TV world, so when I get calls from those people, it really surprises me. I haven't really done much with them because, like a lot of the top-level musicians, it seems that they expect things for free in exchange for fame.
Right.
It's great to be able to, take this picture of, somebody on the red carpet wearing your thing, but unless they actively promote you and, post links to your page on their social media profile and they have millions of followers, that doesn't really do any good because people don't know where they got that, and it certainly exposure doesn't pay the bill. Wow,
that shocks me that even at your price point, people still want it for free because of who they are. That blows me away because you're so affordable.
Well, thank you. Yeah, in the music world, people are used to endorsements, but Marshall never gave away a free amplifier.
Well, a good point. Yeah, and it's good to be busy enough that you can turn away people, that think that you need to do that,
Well, I will work with people, I'll say, if you have active promotion, and if you have more than 1 million followers or more than 100,000 followers, I can discount what I would spend on an ad,
Right.
For that.
Yeah. Right.
Or if, people order a lot of things, like someone gets a whole band wardrobe, even if they don't have a large social media following. Like, I'll give discounts for that.
Right. That's excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
a band from, I think it was Slovenia, inquire about doing this really complicated sort of stage armor stuff. And then I quoted them back something that would be sort of low for something they're involved, which is above their budget. Well, I was like, well, what is your budget? If that's your max, then I can come up with something that, you know, would be reasonable looks for you that's not that, you know, complicated, that we can work with your budget. So I also do that for people.
Excellent. Now, we talked about you've been wanting to do more for women's wear. Are you seeing an increase in those sales and orders, or how's that going these days?
Not really. I think that market is pretty saturated. That's why I do mainly men's, because the metal world and the world of musicians is very male-dominated and very underserved in terms of men's clothing. People just wear all black or jeans and T-shirts, you know.
Right.
Or have a plain leather jacket or plain leather pants. And women have a lot more options out there. I mean, I get really excited when I make things for girls, especially girls in bands, because that's near to my heart. But I mean, we have a bunch of women ready to wear stuff on our Etsy store that's been sitting there for a while, especially like the fashion stuff, because I think people just can buy that everywhere.
Right. Wow. That surprises me, but you're right. I mean, that makes perfect sense. So who's on your hit list? Do you have any bands that you want to design for that you haven't worked with yet?
I mean, I would love to make something for Iron Maiden because they're my favorite band of all time, and that would just make my life complete. But they're really the only band I totally fangirl out about.
Yeah, I saw you post a picture with Nico not too long ago.
I met him before the cruise. We went to his restaurant, Rock and Roll Ribs, and he was just sitting there with his friend, and I met them before, actually, with backstage at Ozfest the year that they were there, and I was sitting at the only sort of free table in catering, and it was like breakfast time, and they walked in and asked me if they could sit down at my table, and I think it took me 5 minutes to say yes.
Wow.
I basically introduced myself. They said, "Oh, you're lovely," and I just had to walk away. I don't want to be friends with my idol, but I did.
Oh my gosh!
I did bother Nico for a picture. He was really, really sweet about it.
That was nice.
The restaurant was so full of metalheads, and no one recognized them other than me.
That's funny. Funny.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, let's see now. You have a pretty unconventional work schedule. What's a typical day like for you, and like when does it start? I don't do schedules or routines. I'm always been bad about that. I tend to go insane if I do the same thing for more than a couple days in a row. But I'm definitely not a morning person. If I ever became Empress of the Universe, I would ban mornings from existing. When I'm in a studio grind at home, not taking the machine on the road, where I do that a lot. I'm doing that right now. I basically spend all day answering email and ordering supplies and running to stores and post offices and banks that are only open certain hours. And then by the time I get all that done, it's later in the evening, and I just work all night till the sun rises, and then I watch the sunrise in my hot tub, and then I go to bed. That's a typical day in the life of Kim.
Yeah, I mean, I find a lot of artists work better at night. I certainly do. I think a lot of times it has to do with my focus level or not being distracted during the daytime. Lots of people are up and sending emails and things like that. You've got to deal with your business people when they're awake. Yeah. But we have clients all around the world, so I guess it doesn't ever really stop. But it's I think from 37 countries now, so that's exciting. Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. So I know, you're pretty global. So is that every continent now? Well, Gwar from Antarctica, so I guess that counts. Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, we did dress a South African metal band, so that's Africa. Wow. So, we got every continent now. Where are you with your ready-to-wear line? I'm aiming for a fall launch on that. I'm in the process of doing designs, and then I want to have the plan reviewed by an MBA or someone that knows business, because I am an amateur businesswoman, professional artist, amateur businesswoman.
Right,
so before I take a significant investment, I want someone who knows what they're doing with money to look at my plan, and then we'll go forward from there.
So where do you see that being sold, like on Etsy and online, or do you want to try to get some retailers like Hot Topic or somebody on board? Like, what are your goals with that?
Definitely not Hot Topic. Their price point is way too low. I already looked into things like that. I want to maintain the quality, all real leather. I want things to be manufactured in smaller quantities. I would like to do some retail and wholesale work, but I'm thinking more high-end rock and roll boutiques, like Trash and Vaudeville in New York, and like Extra X in Berlin and things like that. And that, of course, will like help with the exclusivity of, bands and things wearing the name rather than it being mass-produced and mass-distributed in malls, which I'm not sure how I feel about that. But it would be nice not to have to just make everything from scratch. If someone wanted something right now, we have these 4 or 5 designs for you that you can just order in stock, online and in retail stores in different cities. So
if anybody wants to contact you regarding carrying a retail line, they can get in touch with you, and then that would be great if you could get some of that lined up before you actually go into production.
Yeah, most definitely. Kylla Custom Rockwear at gmail.com or Facebook, the Kylla page. I check the messages. So.
Okay. Now, you've had quite a lot of success in your life so far. What are your goals for the future?
I would like to be happy. So I would like to, success is often quantified in monetary achievements or fame. I got my dream. I always wanted to tour in a live band, and through the tragic passing of one of my best friends, a bad thing happened and a good thing happened. So sort of check the box off on that one. I don't think that's really sustainable as a long-term lifestyle unless you want to become a full-time alcoholic / broke person. but I would like the clothing company to grow and become something that I don't have to put constant all-nighters into to keep afloat. So if it could have a distributable manufactured retail line, that would be great. Maybe an office in another country like the UK or Germany, just to have more of a base in Europe. I really love Europe and I love the UK, and I try to spend about half my time there if possible.
So since this is a radio show, you can actually pick a track from maybe one of your personal recording projects for us to play. And so what would you like us to play for that?
I can send you some Kung Fu Dykes. Kung Fu Dykes is probably my favorite band to play in live. We have a crazy show. We played Barbecue. It's sort of like Tron meets Big Trouble in Little China.
I remember the costume.
It's all black light and stuff.
Tell me about the track that you want us to play.
Well, do you have any sort of restrictions on language? Because that would determine. I guess the song I would like to play is called Meanest Bit, which is my favorite Kung Fu Dyke song. They've been a band for about 20 years, and that song was written before I was in the band. But it's the most fun to play live because we do all sorts of Kung Fu moves. It's just really catchy.
So
Seamstress on Rock Rage Radio, and we're back with Kim Dilla of Kylla Custom Rockwear, also known as Vulvatron of Gwar. Kim and I actually met in person the first time on the 70,000 Tons of Metal cruise back in January of 2014. We saw each other again on the cruise a few weeks ago, and I was working hospitality, artist relations for the event. You seem to be the ringleader of some stuff that was going on. What was going on there? What were you doing?
Oh, I work for 70,000 Tons of Metal now as a pool girl, and Kylla Custom Rockwear makes the pool girl outfit, the outfits we wear daily, doing promotional work, and the bikinis as well this year. So we did both of those. Wicked Lesser Clothing helped to make the dresses just because it's so much work to make, 36 different outfits or something, but wow. those turn out really great as well. They're in England. The Pool Girls are a group of metalhead women who are cruisers who are passionate about 70,000 tons of metal and been on the cruise before, and all of us are sort of actively contributing members of the metal scene in some way, play in bands or run promotional sites and things like that. So this summer they sent us to Europe to Hellfest and Grass Pop and other festivals to interview bands that had played the cruise and walk around the crowd and hand out sunscreen, which is very important. We did that on the boat as well, and talk about the cruise. We're basically promotional models and the face of the brand, and it's really fun to spend some time with some other girls that are really passionate about metal, because I find my daily life to be quite this sausage party. So
right,
it's been great. Yeah.
So do you pick up a lot of clients at events like that as well?
It's hit and miss. I basically don't do a lot of advertising. Most of my advertising is me just talking to people, and the people that I dress talking to people. I find that works the best. So, yeah, every festival I go to, or being on the cruise and having the 70K social media share links about Kylla Custom Rockwear certainly does yield us some business, especially from fellow cruisers, too. That's been cool. This year, Arch Enemy played the cruise, and they were rocking the Kylla gear on stage, so that was neat to see.
Yeah, I actually got to see them.
Photos. Oh,
that was one of the few shows that I actually got to see because I was busy running around. I was particularly impressed. Just walking into the show, I hear this voice, and I'm just assuming it's a dude, and then I look on stage, and it's this girl, and I was like, oh, my gosh. So you do some stage wear for them?
Yeah, we dressed the entire band for their new album. If you look at the War Eternal videos that they put up, all the entire wardrobe is Kylla Custom Rockwear. All the things that the band wears, we made now. Alyssa has her own wardrobe that she works on and alters. Some of her pieces we made, and some of them are her own. Nick Cordell, the guitarist on that album, used to be in my band, This Means You. He lives down the street from me, and then after This Means You, he joined Arsis, which toured with Arch Enemy, which is how he got that gig. So then Mike Amont was at my house when they were writing that album, and that's how we ended up designing for them. So that was a not cruise-related interaction, but it was neat to see them on the boat.
Yeah, for sure.
He's playing wearing now, and Jeff Loomis of Nevermore is in Arch Enemy, so there's sort of like a weird connection.
So it's all linked together. What were some of the most memorable fashions you saw on stage at 70,000 Tons?
Venom and Destruction are two of my favorite bands. I really like the stuff that looks like really old school metal, so that was great. I think Schmear always looks great on stage, and Kronos has his own thing going on. I got to interview Venom, actually, which was really cool because of the Pool Girls thing, about their new album, which they premiered on the cruise, and they were really fun, and they seemed interested in getting some gear made, so that would be a really cool gig.
Did you get a chance to see that couple that got married on the ship?
I was working during their marriage, but I saw the pictures. That was really cool.
And I saw you, the Santa hat guy with the chainmail.
Chainmail Santa, yeah, he's a cruise staple.
Yeah, he was there last year. That's funny. So I saw you doing an interview on the beach, and he's kind of laying there. And then there's this girl interacting with him, and then the next thing you know, she's wearing his chainmail.
Yeah, that was Lori, the other half of Kylla Custom Rockwear. She challenged Chainmail Santa to a wrestling match.
Oh,
pro wrestling experience, and he was dressed for battle, so couldn't resist.
So I take it she won because she got his clothes.
Yeah, I think he fell over without her even touching him. But,
oh, my goodness. Yeah, I got a couple of pictures of him passed out on chairs and all kinds of stuff. What was the craziest fan fashion that you saw on board the ship that caught your eye? Do you remember anything specific?
People wear the crazy costumes. This year, I didn't get to hang out at karaoke as much because the new location of it didn't start till like 3 or 4 in the morning, and then there wasn't enough seating to just sort of hang around in that bar like before. So I didn't get to see a lot of the crazier costumes. I saw a lot of girls in really pretty dressed men, guys in silly animal costumes, but nothing that sticks out right now.
Yeah, the pajama day and the I was a little disappointed with the karaoke. I hope next year they go back to the way they used to do it because I think they got a much better turnout. I saw you posted. Didn't you do a tune with COC?
Yeah, I sang Boat with a Bullet with Corrosion of Conformity Blind, which is really fun. Corrosion of Conformity opened for us on half the Gwar Eternal Tour, so I became really good friends with Reed. They asked me to do a guest song, which was an honor and really fun. I got to do that again with them at a show in Baltimore recently with I Hate God and Cro-Mags, so that was neat.
We're here with Kim Dilla of Kylla, that's Kylla Custom Rockwear. Kim, I'm dying to hear more about your tour with Gwar. As their new alien singer, Vulvatron, I want to thank you for hooking me up with tickets for your show in Orlando. I personally had never seen them before. I'd heard a lot of the legendary stories. I must say, it was quite an amazing experience. Can you describe for our listeners who've never seen Gwar what goes on?
Gwar is sort of a different animal than other metal shows. Basically, it's a bloodbath. So
yeah,
bring your pathetic human self and prepare to be slaughtered to the superior scumdoggers that are Gwar.
You've known the guys from Gwar for a while. How did that come about?
They live in Richmond, and I live in Charlottesville. It's an hour away. I was really good friends with Dave Rocky for many, many years. We were close. And I also knew Brent, who is Pustulus, the guitarist, and because his old band before he was in Gwar after Corey's passing, and my old band, this means we played together. Then Kung Fu Dai played Barbecue, and we played Corey's memorial show and Brocky's memorial show, as well as the fundraiser organized by the Gwar camp to support Randy Blythe's legal fund when he was imprisoned in the Czech Republic because of that scandal with the fan jumping on stage and then falling to death.
Oh,
so
wow.
When Brocky passed away, Brent called me on the phone and asked if I would be interested in singing with Gwar. That was an honor. Yeah.
So, were you well received?
The fans really like being a strong female character out there, in my opinion.
I think so. Yeah.
And a lot of the press response was overwhelming and much more positive than I expected because I'm used to the internet being a hive of gum and villainy, and actually there were very few negative things people said at all. That was great. I got a lot of fan response, especially from women and girls who were glad to see sort of a positive role model character that's not
a heroine.
Yeah. You can be a monster, and you can be smart, and you can have giant boobs, and not just somebody's backup dancer or somebody's girlfriend. Get up there on the mic and you can play dinosaurs.
So can you tell us about the amazing costume you were wearing?
Vulvatron costume that was jointly designed by me and Matt McGuire as the slave fit. He and Bob Gorman have been behind most of Gwar's amazing crossing costumes for their entire 30-year legacy. Matt and I bounced some ideas around while I was in Europe last summer. We were planning this. And then he covered my body in plaster, and we made latex molds of all the gear. He sculpted it out of clay, and then we pour latex into those molds. And I think we spent 3 weeks of all-nighters getting that ready before my first gig, which was Riot Fest in Chicago.
So how far would your bloody boob spew go?
That can spew up to 100 feet. It's controlled by a compressor. Most of the time, we turn the pressure down so that it doesn't hit front of house. For things like Riot Fest, where you're playing a giant festival or an arena or something like that, the power of the spew knows no bounds.
There were some really great photos that some people got it just mid-flight, and it's just going sideways and everywhere. I mean, there was just some amazing photos. Did you have any wardrobe malfunctions?
Yeah, sometimes I would bend over and things would come un-Velcroed. They're hooked together with Velcro, but usually, nothing was revealed before I could stick it back.
Grab it, nothing major.
Yeah, one night I almost headbanged my wig off, which wouldn't have been a problem, just, visually inconsistent.
Okay, so when you were out on tour with Gwar, you guys got banned in a couple places because of your costumes and stuff. What was going on with that?
We weren't banned, but Gwar's costumes are illegal in certain states. Brocky famously got hit for the Cuttlefish of Cthulhu in North Carolina at places like there a few years back. It's basically the promoter would get fined thousands of dollars if we were to go on stage as we are. So I got a bikini put over my boobs, and the guys on me, who wear thongs, we all had to wear panties basically over our cheeks. And we have a sex drone alien that we had to put tape over his nipples as well. I think the laws are in place in those places just so that they can't have, strip clubs and things like that. It's more conservative places. I think it's Idaho. Lots of places in the Bible Belt, like in Tennessee and Carolina.
At least it wasn't female discrimination. They discriminated against everybody, huh? They made everybody do it?
Oh, yeah. It was, male butt, female butt, alien nipples. Well, my nipples are alien, too. It wasn't. Yeah,
I would say blood spewing.
I don't know if they made. I don't know if they made Ballsack put away his ballsack. Actually.
Oh my gosh. It seems like Vulvatron made quite an amazing addition to Gwar. How did your friends probably weren't surprised, but how did your family react?
Oh, my mom was so proud of me. She's been to every show of mine in the last 15 years that has been in her area. From This Means You to Come See Dyke. And now Gwar.
No surprise.
He was right up front. My dad didn't get to see it. He has a very demanding career. He didn't get to come out for the show.
But it's good that they're supportive. That's cool.
Yeah.
It must have been pretty easy to make a clean entrance and a clean getaway with these shows because you had such an amazing costume to hide into. What was it like to be able to walk around in the crowds without anybody recognizing you?
Oh, that was great. I don't like any aspect of being famous whatsoever. I have a lot of famous friends, and I don't have a good opinion of fame. I don't think it brings anything but fakeness out in people. So it's not to have Vulvatron be famous but not Kim. That's really cool. I can just walk around and people don't recognize me. Even our crazies, the most rabid Gwar fans seem to recognize me walking out to the bus, except for I think 3 or 4 the entire tour, which is great because I have the magical powers of Transformo hair. I wear different wigs all the time, not to throw off KGB or anything, but just because I have alopecia areata and lost my hair when I was 16, and now I just wear different wigs all the time. But it's very confusing, and it's great.
Yeah, no doubt. Because, from 1 minute to the next, you go from bald to blonde bob to long-haired purple hair. that's
Cindy Sherman's thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's like a superpower.
Yeah.
This is Seamstress on Rock Rage Radio, and we're back with Kim Dilla of Kylla Custom Rockwear. One of the things I was interested in knowing when I read your profile on KimDilla.com, you're painting. You are like an amazing artist. What's going on? Where are they now? Have you ever put them in a gallery?
Yeah, I've been painting my whole life. I think oil painting is actually a thing I might be best at. I did a series of large-scale photorealistic machine paintings, I call them, of high-energy physics equipment. My dad is a physicist. My mother also works in physics, like high-energy physics. I sort of grew up around these crazy science machines that take up whole football fields, and I've always been fascinated with the aesthetic of those, so I just started making these compositions out of them. I exhibited them all over, from the American Institute of Physics here in the D.C. area to San Francisco, the convention center out there at a physics conference, and then I had several Art World exhibitions in Charlottesville as part of my undergraduate and graduate work with the University of Virginia. All of them are sold now.
Wow.
I want to make more of them, but I had to put painting down for a while to focus on the clothing business. I had too many things going on in my life. I was also a pro wrestler, and I had a full-time job in academia, 2 bands, 3 bands at times, and it's just too, when I get more passive income with the clothing business, when we have a manufactured line, I think I'll have time.
This is the one thing about you that lets me believe that you're actually human, because you have some issues with cooking. So
yeah,
can you tell us about your latest epic kitchen fail?
Oh, I tried to make, catfish or something. So my problem with cooking is not that I don't try. I can't really follow recipes exactly because I'm allergic to garlic and onions, which is in every single recipe. Being a perpetually on-the-road busy person, I don't spend a lot of time in my home or around my kitchen having lots of fresh ingredients in my fridge and things like that. I think that's more of a lifestyle choice for people who have families and day jobs in the same place all the time. So I haven't had a lot of time to spend with my kitchen. So when I make something, it's usually like soup or lean cuisine or a salad. But occasionally I will attempt to cook something like a chicken breast or fish. I'm pretty good at steak because all you have to do is sear the sides and you can still eat it mooing.
Right.
I have an innate inability to determine if something is done or not. It always ends up either like on fire or like stuck to the pan or completely salmonellarific and still pink in places. Right. Like I've tried meat thermometers. I've tried, it'll say the recipe was like cooked till done or brown, cooked until golden brown or brown until tender. Like those aren't instructions. Like tell me, put it at this temperature for this long. Or it's worse if it's in pan. It's like cooking medium heat. Okay, that's like a really big variable. And then put some oil in the pan. Okay, how much and what size pan? And then at what point do you turn this over? And it obviously depends on the size of your meat and things like that. And then if you put a meat thermometer in it, it says a different number for each part of the meat. I don't see how any of this works. So it usually ends up, inedible.
It ends up on your wall of your Facebook, Yeah,
everyone always posts these cute pictures of their perfect meal they made, and so I started posting pictures of my complete kitchen disasters because it's so bad. I mean, sometimes I make things and it turns out okay, but I don't post those because it's not amusing. But everyone loves laughing at me and then telling me how to do it right, which also requires me being able to determine whether it's done or not. You
talked about doing a blog or a video show or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think the metal cooking thing's been overdone now. There's a million things like that, but what I don't see are people with blogs about their failures thing. Right. So everyone laughing at the nailed it, this came out terrible on Pinterest. Yeah. So I wanted to maybe make a blog about all the recipes I've tried that have turned out really terrible cooking. So
I posted
in my copious spare time.
I posted on your wall the other day. I think you were talking about your burnt catfish. And I said, you should have a blog or something and call it Kylla in the Kitchen.
Yeah.
And just be wishful thinking, you know, like, maybe this will work out. But I think it's hilarious. It's always fun. Yeah, you're exactly right, because everybody's always posting these glorious meals they make.
Once I actually messed up Easy Mac on the tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You burned it.
It's hard. That's really hard to do. No, I put too much butter in it. I don't know. I was looking at the fill line correctly, and I got the thing out of the microwave and put the little cheese sauce packet in, and I think it ended up being like, you know. Of course I ate it anyway.
Right. Because you're hungry, you know.
This is the last Mac.
So if you could give some advice to musicians or anybody out there wanting to improve their image on stage or just as a fan, what would your best advice be?
Make sure that you have a cohesive image as a band. The worst thing I see is not people having like off-the-rack clothes that everyone else has. I mean, that I don't find so bad. The worst thing is when one person is dressed like a Renaissance dude and one person looks like they're going to a goth club and the other guy's like in jeans and t-shirt and like that and then you're playing a style of metal that doesn't match any of those things or something like that. You know, that's, to me, whatever you do it as a band and something that makes sense for the kind of music you're playing. Like, having a visual image is important. If you're a band, not having a visual image is also a visual image. Like, plenty of bands I wouldn't dress because they would look silly in anything but like jeans and a t-shirt. That's just their look. But certainly think about a cohesive look for your group.
Thank you, Kim, for all your time today. You can read this interview online at psychoseamstress.wordpress.com and find all of the contact information and social media links for Kim Dilla of Kylla Custom Rockwear. This is Psycho Seamstress signing off.